Sweet Mountain and Planet West, Part 4. After running after them for a few minutes, the group heard sounds of arguing nearby and came to a stop. After a quick decision, the group decided to check it out and ran off the path they had been on, heading for the top of a hill. When they reached down and looked down below, Twilight gasped, "Pinkie Pie!" Down below them, the party pony was fighting with Soren and Storm the Albatross over a pie. The three of them having a hand-hoof mouth on Python, trying to get away from the other two. "Let go of it, it's mine!" Pinkie yelled.
"No, it's mine, little pony,"
Storm scoffed.
"It's mine, I saw it first!"
Soren exclaimed as best as he could, now close around the edge of the pie. As they continued arguing, Silver looked at Blaze and asked,
"Should we go down there?"
Blaze crossed her arms. "I'm not so sure we should get involved with this food fight." Frederick thumped his right fist against the palm of his left hand while saying,
"No need for all of us to get involved. I think I can settle this nice and..."
Before he could finish, they heard Spitfire scream, "Soren!" The pale blue Pegasus question froze when he heard his name being called. His eyes moved upward, where he saw his captain flapping her wings to remember where she was above him. He took his mount and fought with the pie. She wasn't right above him, but the look she was giving him made him feel like she was. "Spitfire!" He shouted.
"Ha! You're going to get yelled at, and the pie's mine!"
Storm gloated, thinking taking the pie from Pinkie would be easy now that Soren had let go. Unfortunately for him, even though the pink pony only had one hoof on it, she wasn't letting go. Soren stood stock still looking up at Spitfire while Storm and Pinkie fought over the pie. That fight was soon halted when Jet, Wave, and Rainbow flew alongside Spitfire and Jet yelled, "Storm! What do you think you're doing?" The Albatross's teeth clenched. He let go of the pie. He turned and looked up at his fellow Babylonians. Both of them with their arms crossed as they glared out.
"Boss! Wave!"
He stuttered. A second later, Pinkie cheered, "Woohoo! Pinkie's got the pie!" As he turned and bounced away with the pie sitting on top of her cotton candy mane. Almost immediately, Soren and Storm looked at Pinkie and forgot about the possible punishments they expected to receive and started chasing after her.
"Hey, come back here!"
Storm yelled.
"Give me back my pie!"
Soren exclaimed. Spitfire, Jet, and Wave tried to get Soren and Storm to return to attention, but now they were too focused on bouncing the pony away to get attention. Up on that hill, Spike sarcastically said,
"Great, that didn't help at all."
Candace held a hoof to her chin. "Perhaps if I use my spell on them, they'll calm down." Luna suggested, "Or perhaps the royal counterlord voice." Celestia said, "Those are both great ideas, but I think we need something that will really grab their attentions." Sonic looked out to the side and noticed that Violet Wisp chasing a red wisp and a green wisp around. The Violet Wisp barking like a dog the entire time. He held a hand to his chin. That gives me an idea." Celestia looked down. "An idea?" Luna asked, "What do you propose, Sonic?" Sonic gestured with his hands for them to come closer, and they did so, leaning down so their heads were close to his. He then started whispering in their ears, and gesturing at the wisps that were still floating around, leaving the others confused as to what he had in mind. When he was done, the three of them leaned back, and Luna smiled. "Oh my, that does sound like fun." Celestia nodded. "Indeed. Are you sure this will work?" Sonic nodded. "As long as you two work closely together, I'm sure you two can handle it, right?" Celestia and Luna looked at each other for a moment, before looking back at him, nodding with a smile. 1 minute later.
"Stop bouncing around like that!"
Storm yelled, very frustrated. No matter what he did, Pinkie Pie was always managed to bounce out of his reach, especially now he was getting winded. Rainbow Dash stood beside the others, having joined them to watch the scene play out. "Nope!" Pinkie chimed, still bouncing around in a circle with the pie, perfectly balanced on her mane.
Soren pounced. "How can we keep this up for too long? Well, I wouldn't give a chance for a relief right now."
As if in response, a wind started blowing past the Wonderbolt.
"There's not much, but it sure feels nice."
He sighed. After a few seconds, the wind began picking up. It's unnaturally so, and you caused Pinkie to stop and look around. Soren and Storm doing the same. Suddenly, a booming, familiar voice spoke. "You little foes! You'll displease me with inquiring and refuse to sail with one another!" As everyone looked around, a familiar black mare flew up from behind a stack of pies and grinned down at Pinkie, Storm, and Soren. "I had thought about simply eating these pies, but instead, perhaps I will simply eat you!" Pinkie screamed, "Ah! Nightmare Moon!" Soren and Storm screamed as well. Soren because he remembered being told to tail Nightmare Moon when he was a colt, It started because the mayor and the moon's sudden appearance and statement terrified him. The others, although not all of them, went on in shock at what they were seeing.
Tit eagerly shook a fist at Nightmare Moon. Try to eat my teammate, will ya? I'm gonna...
He stopped short when he noticed something violet forming in front of the mayor's host.
What's he doing?
He asked. Suddenly, a void formed in front of Nightmare Moon. A scary face outlining yellow on its surface, and a cobalt blue was around inside of it.
That looks like the lightless black! Jet, move it!
Wade exclaimed. The two of them quickly turned and flew behind a part of the ground that was sticking straight up and peered around it. Wave called,
Sor, get over here!
Albatross turned and started to run towards his fellow rogues. Sora and Pinky decided to do the same. The forgotten pie flying towards Nightmare Moon, disappearing into the void.
We better take cover too!
Tails exclaimed. Everybody jumping down from the hill and running for cover behind stable parts of the ground that were sticking up. Spitfire joining them. Piggy, Storm, and Soren were about to reach the others, when suddenly, the pull from the black hole became stronger and started pulling them backwards. Panicking, the elves had to dig themselves into the ground, Soren and Pinky planting their hose into it, and Storm punching handles to grab onto it, but they could feel the pull from Nightmare Moon's black hole behind them. They didn't know how long they could hold on.
Soren, you're wonderful for crying out loud! Put those wings to work!
Spitfire yelled. The pale blue Pegasus spread his wings and started flapping them, trying to push himself away from Nightmare Moon's pull. But he barely started moving forward before a cobalt blue aura wrapped around him. Pinky and Storm started pulling him backwards.
I can't move!
Soren whimpered. Suddenly, a bright yellow aura wrapped around him, Storm, and Pinky, seemingly gaining a cobalt blue aura. Celestia's voice spoke, Fear not, my little ponies. I will protect you. Piggy, Storm, and Soren looked up, and the others looked back to see a bright green flash, forcing them all to avert their eyes. When they all could see again, a large green comet-like sheep was flying over their heads, coming to a stop just above the three figures huddled on the ground. They couldn't see who was under the green, but the two tails behind the comet, and the way he moved left little doubt who it was.
Luna, I command you to stop this at once.
Celestia's voice spoke from within the green comet, with as much royal authority as the Sun Princess commands her.
You dare oppose me, sister? I will not allow it!
Nightmare Moon yelled, moving towards the green comet and stopping just in front of it, behind the three figures huddled on the ground. Two princesses began pushing against each other with their wisp power, the air around them shaking as they both tried to overpower the other. The pull from the black hole began to get stronger, Pinky, Storm, and Soren starting to lose their grip even with Celestia's magic holding them. It was at this moment the three feelies came trying out into the open.
Oh, so you thought you could trick me into actually reading the Keymarker Crusader scene. Look, this whole entire bit with Pinkie Pie, Soren, and Storm is pointless enough without having to add those three to it. So, skip!
Long story short, Black Hole ends. We find out that Celestia and Luna were pranking everybody. The Babylon Rogues, Spitfire, and Soren looked up in confusion as the two sisters began laughing mirthfully, both acting like, well, sisters. It wasn't long before Pinky joined in on the laughter, rolled over on her back, seemingly getting something that the others did.
Oh, wow. That was great, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna. You really got me going here,
the pink pony exclaimed. The Alcors fluttered down, still being hangers-on, both of them still touring. They landed on the ground a second later, landing between Pinky and Soren. Thank you, Pinkie Pie. That was rather refreshing, wasn't it? Celestia spoke. Luna turned to Soren and levitated the pie over him, holding it just above his head. I believe you said you saw this first, she said as he cut off her magic. The pan leaned between Soren's ears as he looked up at her. Blaze explained. Celestia wanted to do something that would really get their attention. It didn't stop. I believe she thought that speaking loudly wasn't interesting enough. Spitfire flew over to Soren. The pale blue Pegasus looked up at her, grinning nervously as he lay on his stomach on the ground.
Hi, Spitfire?
Spitfire continued to look down at him angrily, as she landed in front of him and said,
Don't give me that innocent look, Soren. I told you we needed to stick together until we figured out where we were. But you deliberately took off on me. And for what? Free pies? If you had just restrained yourself a little longer, we both could have looked for them and would not gotten separated.
And then you two could have made out, and then Soren could have had your pie.
Any more words the scene captain said were stopped when a loud shout filled the air. Everyone looked and saw Jet stomping over to Storm with his extreme gear on his right arm, Wade following behind him while both carrying her in Storm's extreme gear. When he was standing in front of his teammate, Jet Yeager yelled, "Storm, you idiots! This is what you disappeared for, to get a pie! If you were looking for treasure, maybe I could forgive it, but this?" The great albatross shot up into sitting position, his held hands up, sputtering, "But the boss! I didn't mean, I mean..." Wade put her right hand on Jet's shoulder, saying,
Jet, just calm down.
The hawk felt a burst of vein as he screamed, "No! He disappears. It makes me miss a chance to sell the scroll of Sonic, and we end up getting played for fools by two princesses just so he can get pie, and that's not counting all the time we wasted just looking for him."
Wave asked, "Aren't you overreacting?"
Jet answered, "Overreacting? Storm wasn't listening to me earlier, and those two decided to have fun with their lame prank. Nobody gets to make light of me. Nobody!" He turned to look at Sonic and pointed at him. "I won't stand for this disgrace. Just for that, we're going to race right now, Sonic the Hedgehog!" Before Sonic could say anything, or Celestia could rectify the situation, Pinkie popped up right next to Jet, wrapping her arm around his shoulder, saying,
Aw, don't be such a mean Princess Jet Ski. Princess Celestia and Princess Luna were just having fun. It's fun to be scared sometimes, don't you know that?
Before Jet could reply, Pinkie let him go. Moving so swiftly, Hawk dropped his extreme gear and spun in a circle a few times, dropping to all fours and grinning.
And there's one thing even better than that.
She took off running again, leaving a cloud behind, and she yelled,
Doggy milk!
As Jet saw spinning, Twilight called, "Pinkie!" Sonic turned away from the direction Pinkie had ran off to, looking at Jet as the Green Hawk shook his head and placed his left hand on his forehead. "Looks like you'll have to find another outlet for your anger. See ya, Jet!" With that, he turned and ran after Pinkie, Tails soon following him while spinning his tails. "Hey, wait!" Jet yelled, holding out his right hand in Sonic's direction.
Oh dear.
Blaze sighed as C and Silver started after a duo. Applejack spoke. "Come on, y'all, we better go too." Twilight flared said Rainbow, Rarity, and Spike all nodded. Twilight lifted Spike on the back, along with Shining Armor and Cadence, he then hurried to catch up the others.
Hey, what's this all about?
Wade questioned, "Where are you going?" Ezreal passed by him, turning his head to look and saying, "We have better things to do right now. One of them is making sure our friend Pinkie Pie is okay." He then faced forward and ran after the others. As he ran past them, Vector smacked at Jet. "Looks like it's time you learned a little patience, you little brat!" He then hurried after SPO, Celestia and Luna spreading their wings and flying after him. Jet yelled, "What? Why, that overgrown handbag? First and nil. That's it!" He flipped his exchange gear over, board hovering just above the ground. Wave turned to Storm, who had stood up by this time. She threw a screaming on her right arm. Holding Albatross's board to him, she said,
Here, Storm, I brought your extreme gear, and you're cleaning it off yourself if you want any more maintenance done with it.
Storm groaned as he took it. "Oh, come on, Wave." The Swallow didn't respond. She simply set up her extreme gear and stepped on it, above her and Jet taking off after the group. Storm getting on his extreme gear, following him after a few seconds. Spitfire turned to Sword and said, "Come on, Sword, we're going too. They helped me fight you. I'm going to return the favor." She spread her wings and took off, flying after the Babylon rogues. And nobody's using telekinesis on. Nobody used telekinesis on Pinkie Pie the first second she started moving. Why? Hello? Sir cried, "Hey, wait up, Spitfire!" He stood up, and while trying to keep the pie balanced on his head, spread his wings and flew after her. Unaware that the red wisp had wandered off earlier, was following behind him. Sword. Pinkie Pie grinned as he reached the end of the frost-coming mountain canyon trench, coming along large beasts that had Skittles, M&Ms, and various other small candies glittering instead of sand. So he didn't care about the candies or two cake-like ledges along the side, though. What had her attention was what awaited her at the shore, the chocolate milk sea. As soon as she saw it, she stopped bouncing and opened her mouth, letting her tongue dangle out. She then rushed towards the shore, too focused on the chocolate milk to pay any attention whatsoever, when a loud noise broke the silence on the beach. Sonic heard a loud scream as he exited the canyon trench and looked straight ahead when he saw an explosion of candies being scattered. What looked like a cannonball whizzed to the ground to spot, a familiar pink pony flying backwards from the end of the trench. "Pinkie!" Sonic yelled, immediately dancing towards her. He held his arms as he got closer, catching Pinkie and sliding to a stop as soon as he had her. He looked down at the pony in his arms. "Are you okay?" As Tails and the others exited the canyon and started making their way over, Pinkie shook her head and looked up at him.
Well, Lisa, glad to start seeing you. That big bump totally surprised me. You had caught me. I have a huge big bump on the old pinky coconut.
Sorry, Spark down there. She's okay. He thought to himself. You know, guys, this whole entire chapter's giving me a headache. Because this whole entire thing feels so insulting to Pinky. Like, it's taking her childishness, her fun-loving atmosphere, and her love of confectionaries, and bumping it up so high that she's not Pinky right now. She's some sort of flanderization that really doesn't make any sense. It's just completely pulling her away from who she is. Like for that whole pie scene. We could have had Pinky. Pinky would have shared it with them. Not suddenly wanting to go, oh, it's mine. She's not that greedy. And this whole entire chocolate milk candy things, Pinky's smart enough to know her limits. She would have stayed with her friends. Tails, Blaze, and Silver came running up behind Sonic, with the others not far behind at his side. Tails on his right and Blaze at his left. Silverblood standing to Blaze's right. Tails and Blaze looked down at Pinky, relieved to see she was okay, but was broken when Silver exclaimed, "Look! What's that?" And to Sonic set Pinky down. They, along with Blaze and Tails, looked to where Silver was pointing. Ellen and Chocolate Milk C, as everyone else caught up and stood at their sides or behind him, also looking to see what was coming. Soren doing so and finishing off the last of his pie. Out in the middle of the sea, as far as the group could see, from behind a rock structure that looked like it was entirely made out of chocolate, a galleon was floating into view. Two of the cannons on the side already visible. The rest of the ship soon appeared, and everyone could see it had various candies covering it. As they watched, a robot with a rocket thruster in place of one of its legs flew up to the ship, flying about halfway to shore before stopping. While holding a lollipop in his left hand, it spoke, "Arr! What have we here? More nosy trespassers! This time on Captain Jelly's territory!" Feta groaned. "What a surprise! Of course Eggman would have a cheesy robot pirate to guard the waters of his Candyland!" Captain Jelly heard him, and while pointing his lollipop down, Fetcher said, "Steal your tongue, you leatherhead! I'll have you keyholes for this and that!" Sonic looked at Blaze and shrugged. "Jeez, hasn't been 5 minutes and already this guy's pirate stick is worse than Captain Whiskers." Blaze replied, "Perhaps that's the only thing that's worse about him." Captain Jelly yelled, "I heard that, you sea rats! You dare mark the great Captain Jelly! I'll teach you a lesson!" He looked back at his ship and ordered, "Fire the cannons! Send them to Davy Jones' locker's room!" At his command, 3 of the cannons in the galleon turned upwards and fired. Most of the group quickly saw the cannonballs and would be right on top of them when they hit. Storm was glazed. "Boss, what do we do?" Before Tip could reply, Signing Armor said, "Don't panic. I'll use my force field to keep those cannonballs from reaching us." While crossing his arms, Espio spoke, "There's no need for that. Allow me." He then uncrossed his arms, now holding 3 throwing stars in each hand. Eyeing the cannonballs for a moment, he suddenly threw his stars, the blade projectiles spinning as they flew through the air. 2 hit and got stuck in each cannonball at the highest point of their shot. Just as they were about to start counting down, the throwing stars exploded, taking the cannonballs with them. Shining Armor looked at Espio in surprise, the chameleon calmly saying, "Exploding floating stars. I always keep them handy." Captain Jelly growled, "Arr, ye be clever indeed. Let's see how ye fare against this." He held his lollipop out in front of him, swung it downwards. This moment, the cannons on the galleon aimed towards the water and started firing, raising chocolate milk splashes in the air. Even as far back as the group was standing, soon the rapid fire from the cannon sent chocolate milk flying in a direction, forcing everyone to close their eyes. Except for Pinky, who had her mouth open as she tried to catch as much chocolate milk as she could. Even the Babylon rogues, Spitfire and Soren had to put on their goggles. They would have been able to see through the shower of chocolate milk that Captain Jelly was doing. After the chocolate rain stopped, they could see again. Everyone could see that there were several long lines of egg ponds at the other end of the beach. Looking up, they could see Buzzers, Captain Jelly's crewmates, dropping off more. After a moment, Captain Jelly flew back to his ship while saying, "Destroy them! All of them!" The egg ponds started shifting. One of them said, "Affirmative," acquiring targets.
First I squeaked, "That's a lot of robots."
Fetcher grunted. He thinks he can throw numbers out to take us down? He's got to be kidding. While pulling out his poncho fans, Jet said, destroy us? Please. Like I'm going to get beaten by some overpriced toasters. Spitfire glanced at him. Save your energy, bird boy. This is the kind of thing that even us Wonderbolts are trained to deal with. Leif pulled out a huge wrench to toss it up and down her right hand as he said, I'm sure you are. You've really got this whole drill sergeant hat down. Espio spoke. Enough of your squabbling. It's time to take action. As he said that, the egg pawns finished identifying their targets and started charging towards the group. And once carrying the blasters, opening fires and ran. Sonic grinned as he, Tails, Silver, SPO, Silver, and Babylon Rose went to intercept them head on. Time to party! Piggy perked up. No! 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 Down, Fick. Down. Spike and the pony stayed back for a moment, Shining King and the Spitfire staring after Sonic and the others, while with looks of surprises on their faces. Storm surprisingly looked excited as exit. He smiled at Spitfire. I like these guys already. Spitfire stared at him for a moment before the pale blue Pegasus said, Come on, Spitfire, let's get the show on the road. The captain narrowed her eyes at his words and nodded with a smile, both of them spreading their wings and taking to the air. Shining looked back at his wife. You better stay back, Cadence. Can't promise you I'll be able to protect you at all times of battle. Cadence looked worried at the thought of her husband going to battle in front of her, especially without his armor, but she nodded to him. Oh my God. Ow. Just, ow. Elvis spoke. That goes for you too, Spack. What about when we deal with the Tasleys and all that? Twilight said. Those were different circumstances, Spike. There weren't a lot of other options available. As he looked at Flare's side, Yellow Pegasus still... Grrr. And... why am I worried about Cadence? Protests started to flare up again, but Alex was excited and was silent and reminded her. Some of you are already in enough trouble. I, for one, don't have any reasons to make it worse. Cadence picked up Flare's that were magic. Cadence wondering why she has suddenly turned into a freaking DID. Oh my God! I mean, just ow. Well, let's get back to the fight. Down below, Sonic and Rainbow Dash were literally trying to stay on top of the situation. Sonic using homing attacks on nearby egg pawns to stay up, while Rainbow flew around the field, slamming into any robots in her path. Shining Armor and Vector briefly saw Rainbow fly over them, and felt the wind created from Sonic jumping over them from the side as they fought alongside each other. Vector was relying on his fists while Shining fired magic shots from his horn at the egg pirates. Bet you don't see this guy back in the Royal Guard, do you, Shining? Vector questioned. While firing magic, several egg pawns, White Stallion replied, This is the kind of thing I was trained to lead soldiers against. I know what to expect in a battle situation, so I never thought I could evolve to this kind of thing. Looked at the crocodile, so I suppose it's not all unusual for you? Vector smart. This is a more Sonic's thing. I'll help if I have to, but I prefer getting a little money out of it. Of course, this is a special occasion. Before Shining could ask what he meant, he noticed an egg pawn riding up behind Vector. At the same time, the crocodile could see an egg pawn carrying a wick thrusting towards the Stallion's other side, where he couldn't see it. Behind you! They both shouted as Shining turned and ran toward Vector, bucking the egg pawn in the chest, while the crocodile breathed fire at the other one. They both looked at each other afterwards, said thanks, before getting back into battle. Elsewhere, SBL and Luna were under fire by the egg pawns that were carrying blasters. SBL was able to deflect a few shots by holding up a pair of kunai kunais! You don't need to call them kunai daggers! But he was forced to drop down when a shot was aimed for his head, while Luna dodged as a round shot aimed at her. After backing out of the way as one flew past her front, she looked up and noticed something on the lens up to the right. It looked like a giant bowl of sprinkles containing all colors of the rainbow. Glancing back at the egg pawns, she turned and fired a beam while saying, Taste the rainbow, egg pawns! The cobalt beam fired from Luna's horn hit the side of the bowl, knocked it off the ledge, sending the colorful confections flying. Many of them landed into the egg pawns, covering some of them in their optics, causing them to panic. One of the egg pawns exclaimed, I can only see a horrible rainbow. Ezreal stood up and looked at Luna, saying, Nice going, Princess Luna. Allow me now. The Lunar Princess nodded, so Espiel turned back to the egg pods who were just recovering from the surprise rainbow shower. He eyed them for a moment before pulling out several shuriken. He then threw them at the robots, the projectiles exploding for a moment later, taking out quite a few egg pods. When the smoke cleared, Espiel and Luna felt that they had a little breathing room and turned to look over the rest of the battle. They saw Applejack bumping an egg pod that was rusting her in the chest and the side, then flip it over her back. Not far from her, Rarity used a jump kick to send egg pod's head flying, while Pinkie caught one with her party cannon and pointed it straight up, firing the robot straight into the air before it fell down and exploded. Pinkie having moving her cannon while it was still up. As he turned back, Storm flew over Espiel's and Luna's heads, delivering a flying kick to a stray egg pod and destroying it. The two shared a smirk while it pale blue Pegasus before they jumped back into the fight. On the other side of the beats, Twilight Silver slid to a stop while running, turning around to face the egg pods behind him. Working cleverly, Silver created a psychic knife with his hands while Twilight used her magic to form her newly dubbed Mystic Blade. Once he erased, both Twilight and Silver sent their attacks flying horizontally, the blade slicing through the robot's insides and causing them to explode. The two flashed a smile at each other while, behind them, Blade stabbed by with fire surrounding her left arm, Celestia right behind her with her glowing yellow. Twilight looked forward again and gasped, "Silver, look out!" The Silver Hedgehog looked, then they both dropped down. Jet flying over them with his Spatio fans held at his sides. They both looked up afterwards, staring at Jet, wondering what he was thinking. He didn't have to wait long to find out as the green hog began drifting on his board as he neared a squad of egg pawns, slicing with his personas before breaking out of his drift, aiming for another egg pawn. As he went from one to the next, he yelled, "Yeah! Who wants some? You want some?" Well, Jet took out another one. An egg pawn with a blaster raised his weapon and aimed for the hog's back. Storm saw what the robot was planning to do and took off in Jet's direction, fully prepared to protect his boss. As the egg pawn squeezed the trigger, Storm pulled his board up underneath him and called, "Boss, look out!" Jet turned to look and saw Storm get in front of him. The egg pawn shot hitting the underside of the Albatross's extreme gear. Almost immediately afterwards, Storm flew towards the egg pawn and took it out with a single punch. As he flew by, Wave said, "Don't use my gear as a shield!" She then faced forward and swung her wrench like a club back and forth, sending egg pods flying. Up above her on the left edge, "No. Don't. No. Sorry, Spike. You ain't getting this one." Now, as long as you take those key marker savers, your scenes are now cut. Soren stalled and heard the whole thing, both of them hovering next to her nearby. Soren turned to Storm under a moment later, while pointing at Wave and asked, "Well, she's sussy, huh?" Storm replied, "Believe me, the boss and I could tell you, stars." Not far away, Spitfire was kicking away egg pods while using her wings to stay up. After kicking one away, however, another got up behind her and got her in a lock, both of his arms under Spitfire's forelegs and his hands on the back of her neck as he struggled to get free. Whilst he's trying to break out, Tails lifted the egg pod's back and reached over his head, grabbing Spitfire's goggles and pulling them off her head. When he brought his arms back and put the goggles around the egg pod's head, stretching him out and letting him snap back, hitting the robot in the optics. While the egg pod was reeling from the sudden move, Spitfire got freed and Tails pulled her goggles off of it. Spitfire then joined him behind the robot and both kicked it away. Spitfire smirked at Tails afterwards.
"Nice move just now, kid."
Tails replied,
"It's Tails, ma'am. Here, let me fix that for you."
He reached up and gently put the cactus goggles back on. He took off to the side afterwards and noticed the red wisp from earlier heading towards him. The little guy finally caught up on him.
"Hey, look!"
He pointed. Spitfire looked to raise an eyebrow.
"What the? Is that an alien?"
Suddenly, the red wisp slid towards her, disappearing to his chest.
"Hey, what's it doing?"
Tails explained,
"It's alright, Spitfire. The wisps do that when they want to lend their hyper go on energy to someone. And the red wisp apparently literally has a fiery personality."
Spitfire raised her wings and held herself up on her hind legs as he looked down at herself, nosing red, emperor-like air as he began to surround her. She soon smirked.
"Is that so? Well, it's a good thing I had this fireproof den."
She looked up at Tails and grinned as he felt the energy begin to flow through her.
"'Cause I'm gonna melt these tin cans down and pour them on like horseshoes."
She then turned and took to the flames as some flames began to surround her. Tails could swear she looked like a phoenix rising up from the ground. Sonic looked up and saw the Pegasus flying overhead, the flames now surrounding her completely. He looked down and yelled as loud as he could, "Heads up, everyone! There's a firestorm coming!" And even though they didn't all get what he was saying or hear him, they all did look up and noticed Spitfire flying above the beach, flames beginning to build up around her.
Blaze, Twilight, and Shining Armor immediately jumped to the action. Blaze, Sonic, Tails ran over to SPS, Silver, Vector, and Luna. Blaze, putting up a flame shield around them all. Twilight teleported over to her friend, Celestia Sora, and used her magic to create a force field, hoping it would be strong enough. Shining Armor, meanwhile, did the same with Fluttershy, Cadence. The Babylon Rogues, however, ignored all signs and cause to join the group under Blaze's protection, and simply flew towards where they entered the beach from, away from the center of the beach. After about a few seconds, Spitfire turned and flew at an angle towards the ground. Flames still gathering around her as she went down like a bomb. As soon as she hit the ground, she burst into an explosion of fire. The flames roasting the whole beast except for what was under Blaze's flame shield, as well as Sonic and Twilight and Shining Armor's force fields. Both Sealy's fields bucking and cracking under a beam of the heat pressure. When the flames cleared, Spitfire was landing completely unharmed in the middle of the beach. The red wisp floating out of her chest, and all the remaining egg ponds of the beach melted down to molten metal. Near the entrance to the beach, even though the Babylon Rogues themselves had been hit by the flames, Wave's eyes widened as he saw all three extreme gears had been scorched somewhat. Geostorm's extreme gear, especially in particular, since he held them up to protect themselves. After Spitfire said goodbye to the red wisp, Blaze called her flames back over to her, and Twilight and Shining Armor made their force fields disappear. Sora was the first to move, flying over to Spitfire to check on his captain, and to make out with her. After he was sure she was okay, as he seemed to be, the others, except for the Babylon Rogues, started coming over. Shining Keen's Flashlight Spike and the Q-Mark Crusaders coming down from the ledge before— "Oh, you tricked me!" Before he could reach the two Wonderbolts, however, Captain Jelly timed him from his ship, using what sounded like a megaphone to protect his voice. "Arr! You lot are more durable than I thought!" Luna murmured. "It would appear we forgot something." Rainbow yelled, "Hey pal, we smashed all your toys! Why aren't you coming over here so we can smash you too?" Jelly laughed. "Yeah, you'd be a fool if you think me robots are all I had on board. Don't forget how I stuck them all in front of you in the first place." Silver groaned. "Oh shoot, we forgot his ship had cannons too." Captain Jelly, "And now that mistake will cost ye. All port cannons, take aim." As Zora, the cannons on the side of the ship aimed towards the beach. "Give my regard to Jamie Joneses when you see him," Captain Jelly mocked. As he was about to give the order to fire, something suddenly struck him in the side of the face, knocking him to the side. As he looked at him, a new voice could be heard through the megaphone.
"I don't think so, Mike. You're no good pirate. This shit I won't let you get away with these."
Even though he couldn't clearly see what was happening from the deck of the galleon, Blaze could recognize that voice and accent anywhere. Marine. Sonic groaned and shrugged. "Where'd she come from this time?" On the ship, Captain Jelly recovered and looked at Marine with angry eyes. He ordered, "Crew, deal with these landlubbers. This one's all mine." At his command, his crew flew up from the ship towards the sword, where Captain Jelly raised his lollipop towards Marine. Back on the beach, Blaze growled, "I've gotta go help her." She dashed forward towards the chocolate milk. Silver held out his hand as he called, "Please, wait!" But it wasn't enough. She kept running until she reached the ends of the chocolate milk. At this point, she was surrounded by flames and vanished, reappearing on top of the crewmates that wasn't far from the shore. She disappeared again, leaping from one crewmate to the next as she made her way towards Captain Jelly's cannon. Elzette groaned, "Oh, that girl's gonna get herself hurt like that. I don't deny she's powerful, but she shouldn't be jumping in by herself."
Teal said, "She's got the right idea, though. If we were all on this ship at once, we'd probably end up getting each other's way. But if we go a few at a time, we'll be able to take care of Captain Jelly and his crew quickly."
Elzette said, "Well, fine. Well, how are we supposed to get on that thing anyhow? None of us can fly after all." Sonic said, "Well, Sir Twilight can teleport a few of us onto it now, and then Silver can make a brace for the rest of you once Cello Boy's crew's taken care of." Silver looked at him. "A bridge? What do you— Oh, you mean like back at the volcano? Yeah, I could do that. As long as Rainbow Dash can make a long enough trail to reach that ship." Rainbow gave him a salute. "No worries, Silver. I can do that in 10 seconds flat." Before anyone else could say anything, Captain Jelly's crewmates reached the beach, and they started diving towards the group, forcing everyone to move. They weren't able to get very far due to the crewmates getting in their way. All of them seemingly get ready to be blown up to stop the heroes. Sonic kicked one away, then turned to Twilight, asking, "Hey Twilight, do you think you could teleport me to your brother and yourself to that ship over there? These things could be a cakewalk for the others, and the three of us could go help Blaze out." The Lavender Unicorn replied, "I think so." She turned to Shining Armor and asked, "Shiny, did you hear that?" The captain of the guard answered, "Yeah, I did, Twilight. If you're wondering, yeah, I'll go along with Sonic's plan." He turned to Cadence to say, "Kids, stay with your aunts. They'll keep you safe. Once things quiet down over here, come join us on the ship." Cadence could only look at Shining with a raised eyebrow before asking,
Shining, since when did I become a damsel in distress?